A lot of people are coming in today. Thanks for joining. We're going to give folks another couple of minutes to get logged into the class, but while we're waiting, I'm going to go ahead and start getting things ready as usual. So let me share my screen and move a few things around. But while I'm doing that, we can go over the housekeeping. And if you're new to my classes, I like to keep classes informal. So if you're in the Zoom session and have a question or comment, just unmute yourself and ask your question. Uh, but if you would rather put your question or comment in the chat is also open and available for you to use. And Has from our TA group is here to help with the class today. He'll help me monitor the chat so I don't miss anything, but he's also here in case you have any technical problems or issues during the class. Feel free to reach out to Has via the chat and he'll be happy to help you out. Thanks for joining us today, Has. Appreciate your help. And for those of you still in the lounge, if you want to stay in the lounge, that's fine. Just put your questions in the chat there in the lounge and they'll make their way over to me. But if you'd rather ask that question out loud, just click on that orange Join Zoom button and that will bring you over into the Zoom session. Okay. I think we have a nice group here today. So let's go ahead and get started. This is Emergency Apps for your iPhone. This is a 20-minute class. My name is Wade and I'll be your guide for the class today. So why do you need emergency apps? We all face the potential of being in emergency situations. It could be something simple like a minor traffic accident or walking down the street and hurting yourself, to something major like floods, hurricanes, fires, tornadoes. Lots of things out there that we need to be prepared for because their emergencies are often unexpected and of course they can be life-threatening if you're not prepared. So emergency apps can help us prepare before, during, and after an emergency event. So we're going to talk about a number of different apps. Some of them are native to your iPhone. Some of them are third-party apps. And this is more of a survey class. The intent here is to show you a number of different apps as opposed to digging in deep into any one of the apps. Well, we're going to start with the medical ID, which is a part of your iPhone. So let me move my screen over so you can see my phone. And we're going to go to the Health app. And it's right there. Looks like that. Yours is going to be the same place. And so let me talk about this for a second before we jump into it. So the Health app is where you can store your emergency medical ID. And your medical ID contains a lot of medical information, but the key feature of the medical ID is to collect information that's important for a first responder to know about you if you are in an accident and they're having to take care of you, especially if you're unconscious and can't talk to them and tell them what you're allergic to and what medications you're on. So this is extremely important for any type of emergency, from tripping, falling down the street to being in a hurricane. First responders can view this information directly on your iPhone, even if it's locked, so they can get to it. If they can get to your phone, they can get to this information. So, but your iPhone will also send this medical information automatically to emergency services if you call or text 911. And that's if you call, or again, if you're hurt and some good Samaritan comes by, get your phone and calls 911 from your phone, it'll send the information as well. So let's talk about how to get to your medical IDs. Like I said, it's in the Health app. And what you do is tap on your profile up here in the upper right. And it brings up a number of items, but the second one in the list here is medical ID. And it will show you the current contents of your medical ID, which may be empty if you haven't put anything in there yet. To edit or enter information, just click on the edit. And you can now enter or edit anything you've entered. And I'm not going to go over everything here. Most of this is self-explanatory. I do want to mention a couple of things. One thing I recommend doing is what I've done in the medical notes. Put your primary care physician with their phone number, because you may want them to get in contact with them if you've been in an emergency. Obviously, put your allergies, your blood type, any medications you're on, especially medications that may interact with some other medication they might give you in an emergency situation, and include at least one emergency contact. You can include multiple emergency contacts, people you want to be notified if you're in an emergency. And then the last thing down here is share during emergency call. This is what allows this information to be sent to the 911 operator if someone calls or texts 911 from your phone. Questions there? We're not going to go into details, but basically what that is and why that's important. Right. If not, and if you think of questions, we'll hopefully have a little bit of time at the end. So we're going to go now to a third-party app, and this is the Red Cross Emergency app, maintained by Red Cross, and it is a free app that helps you deal with lots of different types of emergencies. It's simple to use. All these apps are very simple to use. I mean, they're designed to be simple because they want people to download these apps and be able to use them without going to a class. But you can use this to set up multiple different alerts. And it does provide, as I said, step-by-step directions in terms of how to use it. I'm going to do just a quick demo of the app here. So here's the emergency app. And when you come in for the first time, you'll need to enter your location. I've already entered my home location, but you would enter your location. And then once you've got a location entered, if there are any alerts for your location, you'll see them here. In fact, let me go over the home screen first to show you several different parts of it. So it always has the alerts right at the top, so they're obvious. They've got something called live location. So if you turn this on, and there's a little slider here that you can't really see, but I'll turn it on so you can see it and turn it off. Basically, it's going to follow you. And so if you're on vacation somewhere and a hurricane or something comes up, it would alert you even though it's not one of the defined locations you have. But you can set other locations. My dad lives in Mason, Tennessee, so I've got that set up so I'll know if there's something that happens. He's in an area that has tornadoes occasionally, so I want to make sure I know what's happening at his location. And then here at the bottom is add new locations. If you haven't defined anything, this will be the first thing you see to go ahead and create a new location. I'm going to go back up to my home location here again. And in order to set the different alerts that you want, all you have to do is click on this, view the location, view this location that you're looking at. And again, it tells me there's no alerts here right now, but up here at the bell in the upper right-hand corner is where you set your alerts. So you can turn each one of these on and off. I've got earthquake alert turned off. I've got extreme cold turned off. If I want to turn it on, all of these are just sliders. So you can scroll through this and decide which ones you want to get alerts for and which ones you don't. The advanced options let you even dig down in more detail. So this one is hurricanes and tropical cyclones. But if you click on advanced options, you can even go in and define, how do you want to be identified for warnings or watches for only hurricanes or hurricanes and tropical storms. You can just click on the little arrow and you can specify if you want to show the alerts, ring, send you a notification. So lots of ways to fine tune this so you're not getting alerts all the time, but you are getting the alerts that you care about. Okay, and see a couple of things I'll show you here. This is the main part of it. But you can also, it's got a prepare here where they've got lots of information about how to prepare for things. So if you want to prepare for floods, you can click there and it'll have some videos and information about how to prepare for flood damages, what you should do. So there's a lot of educational material there. Again, here's the alerts. This is really the same as on the locations page, but they got lots of ways so you can see any alerts. And they also have maps where you can see information. Mine is showing the hurricane that's coming in since I track hurricanes. So it's showing this. It shows my location. It shows my dad's location. And the little plus is for any emergency shelters that are available. So lots of information here, but very simple to set up and use. The next one I want to talk about is the FEMA app. And the FEMA app is very similar to the Red Cross Emergency app, but it does have a few different features, which is why you might want to use it instead of or in addition to emergency app. You can use more than one. You don't have to use one exclusively. One thing about FEMA is that in addition to all the weather information, it has alerts for hazardous materials, nuclear power plant problems, radiation hazards, explosions, lots of other alerts that Red Cross doesn't have. And another nice feature is if you are in a situation and you need to file a claim, FEMA allows you to file a claim using their app. So let's go into that one quickly. And so it has several tabs across the bottom, and it has a prepare tab, sort of like on the Red Cross, where it tells you how to prepare for different types of emergencies. So lots of good information to read up on prior to an event occurring. The alerts tab here is where most of the information is and where you're going to be using the most. And like Red Cross, you can set up and manage multiple locations. I'll go into my home location here. And again, it tells me there's no active alerts right now in my location. That's always good to see. You can click here to set your alert preferences. And you're going to see that it looks similar to the other one. It has different types of things. Do you want to be alerted for flooding? And you can click into that. And again, be more specific. Maybe you don't want flood watches, but you want flood warnings, so I can turn that one off, and I can turn flood advisories off. So you can fine tune this. And what happens lots of times, I usually start with everything turned on. If I find out I'm getting too many, you can go in and turn them off for the ones you don't want to have. Now, if you go down to the bottom here, and you can see there's all these are weather type events. Here's the one that it has that Red Cross doesn't have much of, is local hazards. So I'll click on that one, and this is where it gets into things like civil emergency messages, evacuation messages, local area emergencies, civil danger warnings, hazardous material warnings. Maybe there's been a train that's carrying hazardous material and it's run off close to you. You would get a warning that there's hazardous material in affecting your area, etc. So that's sort of nice, especially if you're in an area where some of those may be happening. And work my way back. As with the others, you can add additional locations by clicking Manage Locations here. And you can add up to 5 locations. And you can, if you want to get rid of a location, you can click up on the Manage up in the upper right. And you can either change or delete. This is where you can change which one is your main location. If I want to get rid of this location, maybe my dad moves somewhere else, I can delete that one. recover is where you can get some information about what to do after the event where you're recovering. But this is one that I mentioned that if you've had problems, expenses, and you want to apply for assistance, you can click there, and it tells you some things to need to get together, photos of the damaged home and belongings, etc. But then you can click here and go ahead and complete your application right from the app. You don't have to go to your computer and try and navigate to a site to find it or make phone calls. Everything you need is in the app. And you can even, once you filed it, you can check the status here. And you can find emergency shelters. That's also important in some cases. If you do have to evacuate, you can click there and find emergency shelters. This one is fairly quick and simple, but it's another important one. This is one I like. It's the first aid. This is also by Red Cross. And I'll just jump and show you. This is basically where you can use not only in weather alerts, but anytime if you're out somewhere and you get bitten or stung, you can go here and say, what was it? Was it an animal bite, insect bite, a venomous snake bite? If it was a venomous snake bite, you can click in and it tells you what you need to do. And it scrolls on down and gives you lots of information. It has a hospital finder here. So if you need to get to the hospital, you can click there and it's going to show you hospitals close to your location by distance. So you can find those. You can quick way to call 911. And one last thing here that's going to show is it's got some quizzes here. So if you want to learn more about what to do, you can come here and take a quiz on what to do if there's a burn. And you actually listen to this article, and then it has multiple choice questions. So you can go in and test your first aid knowledge. A couple of things I want to show you that are on your iPhone, and we've covered these in some other classes, but I want to mention these again because they kind of fit this topic. And one is sharing location. Sharing location is important, especially if there's an emergency situation that may cause people to have to evacuate, a fire, a flood, a hurricane, and you want to keep up with your family members. The Find My app is a great way to do that and very simple to use. Just click on Find My. And it usually defaults to people, but if it doesn't, click people at the bottom left. And this shows you people that have shared their location with you. This can also be handy if the weather is bad and if Michelle was going to be driving to Wilmington and it's snowy, I would want to make sure that she had shared her location with me so I could track her and monitor to see if anything's happened to her. To share your location with other people, all you have to do is click the plus sign and click Share My Location, and then indicate who you want to share it with. I've already done it, but if I wanted to share it with my wife, I could just click here and share my location with her. And then I would show up on her phone. If other people share their location with me, they'd all show up here. So, this is something you need to get set up prior to an emergency. Go ahead and have that sharing set up. But it's a nice thing. You can see she's moving. You just saw her move. She's out somewhere. So you can actually follow the progress. If somebody's making their way home, you can tell they're still moving. They're out there driving and everything's okay. Great little app and very easy to use. One last thing, and then we'll have a couple of minutes for questions maybe, but this is new with iOS 17. And it's a way to let people know that if you're going somewhere, automatically let them know you made it. So it kind of fits with the Find My, but it automates that a little bit. So again, let's say I'm going to drive to Wilmington and it's really snowy, or we're having to evacuate because of a hurricane. I don't want to let my parents know or my brother know that we're evacuating, and so he can make sure that we make it to wherever we're going. So to use this, you go into Messages and select who you want to send the message to. And you start it just like a normal message. And let me catch up over here. Click the plus sign. And scroll down. You have to click more. And here's check-in. So I'm going to click check-in. And let's say I'm going to be going home to visit my dad. And I want to let my wife know when I get there. I'll click edit. And click up here to check in, let her know when I arrive. Select the location. Mason, Tennessee. It goes to that location. This blue circle is whenever I come inside that circle, it's going to let her know I made it. So you can make that circle small, medium, or large, depending on how wide an area you want to include or when you want that message to be sent.
Hungry.
Say done. And then scroll up a little bit and you can see the rest of it. So when you're finished, naturally all you have to do to set that up. You can set if you're driving, walking, or in transit, and it calculates the time you should get there automatically for you. So I can just say done and send this like any other message. I can even put a comment here. I'm going to tell her I'm in class so she knows why she's getting this. And it's now been sent. And saying I should arrive at 11:15 this evening.
Now, it's not tracking you, right? It just calculates the time.
Well, it is tracking me, because if I don't get to that location by 11:15, what it's going to do, it's going to say, it looks like you've been delayed, add some more time. So I can keep adding time, which lets my wife know I'm still monitoring my phone, I'm adding time. So it does know where I am. If I don't add time, then it's going to let her know Wade didn't make it, but he's not responding to his phone. So maybe I was on the way to Wilmington and I ran off the road, or on my way to Mason, I ran off the road, or something's happened to me. It will actually show, give her a map of where I am the last time my phone was transmitting something, so she can see where I am. Yeah, great little tool and very simple to use.
Okay.
In fact, I did one yesterday. Let me show you what happens. Here's one I did, and I actually arrived where I was going to. So it just told me, and it told her Wade got there, and so everything's fine.
Can you start that one again, please?
Yeah, we got time to do this one more. This one's probably the most complicated of all of them. Let me do one more. So you're just going to Messages and pick who you want to send it to. So instead of typing a message down here at the bottom, you're going to type the plus sign. And these are all the things you can send as part of this message. I need to click more because I don't see it. Now you have to be using iOS 17 for this to work. So if you're not seeing this, you're probably not on iOS 17. I'm teaching a class on how to use iOS 17, and I talk about this in that class. So I'll put a link to that. And then here's where I can create that check-in.
I don't have that on my phone. How do I get that?
You,
I have this.
you don't have iOS 17 if you're not seeing it. You need to upgrade to iOS 17. I've got a class, a 20-minute class that shows you how to do all of that. I'll put a link in the class notes to that
Okay.
class.
Great, thank you.
I have iOS 17, but I probably doesn't have the model you have. So I only see the location. I didn't see the, it's different. I can share my
We're out of time.
location.
We're going to have to go either come to the office hours on Friday, or if you haven't taken the iOS 17 class, I go over this in a lot more detail in the iOS 17 class as well. But we are out of time, so I do have to wrap up today. But yeah, either one of those, come to the office hours or come to the iOS 17 class. All right, so thanks everybody. Appreciate your time and attention. Hope you enjoyed the class. As I mentioned, there'll be some class notes coming out with those links I mentioned, so be sure and look for those. And I want to thank you all for attending. Hope you have a great day and look forward to seeing you again in another class really soon. Bye now.